Hello, and welcome to Super Okay, where we try to do a decent enough job to entertain people with our opinions on video games. I am Mel, and along with me for today's episode is one of my favorite people in the whole entire world, and I'm pretty sure that we're like BFFs now, is my friend Lyle. Hi, Lyle. How are you today?
Hello. I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
How was work today? Good?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay. Makes me happy to hear that.
Yeah.
It's been a really poopy day.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm really excited that you're on this episode with me because it's just, I feel like we don't do this very often, and I'm happy that you're here. We had a couple of, scheduling snafus this week, so I'm literally the only one that had availability to do some recording, and I'm so happy that you were just like, yeah, I'd love to do a recording with you, and just makes my heart burst. But yeah, as we start all of our shows, we always talk about a highlight of the week, which is a segment where we get to talk about something that is really exciting that happened to us, something that made us happy. And because you are our guest today, I will have you start first. What is your highlight of the week?
All right. Well, as you know, I've been reading quite a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just recently finished over the weekend the book Iron Flame.
Ooh.
So it's the second book in the series that I was reading. The first one was The Fourth Wing. Second one was Iron Flame, Iron Flame. And I understand you received those books as well.
I did. Yeah,
Yes.
Josh bought it for me for Christmas. I have yet to dive into them.
Well,
but
I can't wait till you dive into them because they are very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know when we talked about it before, you were like, oh, like there's some saucy dialogue and some saucy parts of this. I shouldn't say saucy. They're very spicy. It's a very spicy book at times, right?
Yeah. There was some quite a bit of spicy scenes in there. It took me by surprise, but got used to it after the first few. But
right.
it was very good. I mean, I didn't read it just for the spicy scenes. It was a very good fantasy book.
Why not?
I mean, there are books out there where they are made for, the spicy scene. But I was very glad to finish those because my friend has been bugging me of when are you going to finish? Because we need to talk.
Sure.
We need to talk. So now I can talk to her about that. And then once I finished that, now I started a new book series. The Throne of Glass book series.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
So can you describe a little bit of what the Fourth Wing series is about? Real quick, just for everybody.
So anyone who doesn't know the Fourth Wing series, it's 2 books right now. More books are coming along the way. Don't know when, but it's a fantasy. Words are hard. Fantasy series about a war college of students in their early 20s about magic and dragons, and they just learn about how to wield these magics, and each person has a special signet that manifests in them once they are bonded to a dragon. So each person has a different signet, whether it could be like ice magic, fire magic, someone, I won't tell you who, but they can control shadows.
Fun.
So it's all very, very mysterious and very fun.
Yes.
So if you're into that, then it's really good.
Yeah. When we first started talking about this book series, I was like, ooh, that sounds really interesting. Because I remember like when you were talking about it, because they were like, these people are going to this war college, like it is you meet the dragon type of thing, and like if the dragon doesn't like you, then you just like get burned. And I was like,
Yes.
what? Like that happens at the very beginning of the book, and you're like, yeah, that's how you get admitted to like this war college. And I was like,
Yeah,
holy
basically.
cow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to reading that book and getting to share that excitement with you. Hopefully I'll be able to find some time in my busy schedule for it. And who recommended the Throne of Glass series to you?
My friend who also recommended to read the Fourth Wing series.
Gosh, you. So she's your book buddy. I get it.
She definitely is.
All right. So I need to be like on the same page as you so that we can like all get together and talk about it.
Yes.
I'll go next for my highlight of the week then. So I have been making my way through Final Fantasy 16. We've talked about how like I have been really slacking on like trying to get through this game. But I think I'm getting really close to the end now. The last time I checked my progress, I was like 82% of the way through.
Oh.
And I just made it to the part where we're and try not to super like spoil things, but escaping on the Enterprise. And now trying to follow the black ship to see where it's going, right?
Okay.
So I feel like I'm getting close to the end. It has been really great so far. I really have been enjoying it. And I feel like this type of game is, I don't know, it's like making me cry at some portions of it because it's like so, I don't know, like heartwarming at times, but also like really sad at other times. And the music in that game is fantastic. Yeah, like everything about that game is just so good. I love the storytelling that it is, or like the world building it's creating with like when you play some of these side quests, because you know how like there are in Final Fantasy, there are always like stupid fetch quests and you're just like, all right, I'll go do whatever, or I'll go talk to that one person because you can't walk like 10 feet away to go talk to them yourselves, right? But there are some quests in there where I'm just like, dang, like this really kind of makes me feel like I'm a part of something and I'm like helping people with their ultimate goal of like, you know, freeing a group of people. And I love it.
Yeah, it is very good. And mostly in any game that has like side quests and stuff like that, they do feel a lot of, you know, fetch quests. And you're just like, these are very boring after a while. But the ones in Final Fantasy are very good. They definitely pull you more into the story. And they definitely grow the story more as well. And some of the side quests, they do hit you in the feels a little bit.
A lot. I think like when I played last, I was like straight up like crying at one of the quests because it was like I had to give if people have played Final Fantasy 16, I had to give the star rubies back to people, you know, because like we were in debt, and all these people were like, no, I won't take them back. And I was like, oh, I can't believe you're not taking it back. And if you know, you know. If you don't know, I highly recommend that you just play Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, just wait. There's one side quest towards the end. I was on the verge of ugly crying.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, when I get there, I'll definitely let you know. I'm gonna like message you right away and be like, Lyle, what happened?
Yes, it was very, very heartwarming, very sad at the same time, but it was a good one. It was nice to see.
Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be fun to talk about when we get there. Also, for my highlight of the week, it was getting to watch the Game Awards with you last Thursday.
Yes.
And while also playing, you know, Lego Fortnite, which kind of leads us right into the topic of today's episode, right?
Exactly.
Like we, you know, because we watched this together, we definitely have some feelings that we kind of like discussed, you know, reactionary while we were watching it. But then also like the things happened after the Game Awards that we definitely need to talk about, because I don't think that we've talked about it to its fullest yet.
Yeah.
And so, listeners, if you don't know what the Game Awards is, it's pretty much like this annual event that honors the achievements of those within the video game industries. And so think of it like the Oscars or the Grammys of video games. So they bring in like cool celebrities to talk about, you know, the games that they're either a part of, or they get to like, you know, announce the winners for. And there's always like interesting surprises that happen it. But not only it being an award ceremony, it's also a medium for, people within the industries to discuss whatever projects that are going on that kind of like will help generate hype, or even showcase some cool trailers that are either for games that are coming out like, I don't know, a week after the Game Awards, a few days after, or like even into like 2025. So let's jump right into it. Thoughts on the whole event. Lyle, you go first.
I really enjoyed it. It was overall, a good ceremony. I enjoy watching the Game Awards. I haven't watched it very much. I'd have to say I've only really watched it starting, I don't know, maybe since a couple years ago.
Sure.
But I mean, ever since I started watching them, I've never really had, I would say a bad experience with it. It's always a good time to watch it, fun to see all of the awards and all the new trailers that they show. That's always exciting.
Totally.
So, always a good time, and it's always a good time to watch it with friends as well.
Yeah, I was going to say like the past maybe 3 years since like you've been watching the Game Awards, I think we've watched them together, to be honest.
I think so.
Like we were just like all in Discord, just like watching it and like reacting at the same time about certain games or like certain things that are happening. And I also really like it. I like seeing, what people are saying are like the best games, because I'm not necessarily a gamer that like, oh, like here's a new game trailer, like I want to play this game within like the next 4 days of it being released. I'm kind of more of like a patient gamer. So like watching the Game Awards really kind of helps me narrow down the games that I should be playing versus like games that are just like out there, because games nowadays are so hit or miss, especially when it comes to like AAA games, and publishers are like pushing developers to get their games out in time. I always feel like, some games are just bad. Like they're just not great. But speaking of like being rushed, I felt like some of the categories when they were describing like the winners for them were very rushed. I also felt like the acceptance speeches were also rushed. And they didn't give enough time for the people who are accepting these awards to really kind of like dedicate their achievements to somebody, or like what like how much that actually means to people. And I kind of missed that, like with typical award ceremonies, I feel like that's something that you always see, but then this time it was just like, it feels a little bit off compared to previous years that we've seen, for sure. Also, did you notice that security was extra tight this year? Like they had security guards like right at the stage.
Yes, I did notice that. It was crazy to see how they definitely upped their security from last year. But you could definitely see that they didn't want any unwanted visitors to visit their stage again this year.
Totally. Yeah, that was a very like awkward situation for them to be in, especially because it was like also like a kid last year, I think, that like rushed the stage. So yeah, that was awkward. And speaking of awkwards, we have to talk about the voice of Kratos, Christopher Judge's comment about the Call of Duty campaign. And he literally said, for all of those who did not watch, I'm not going to... let me kind of back up a little bit. Kratos last year, Christopher Judge won Best Performance, and he was up there for a really long time to like talk about, his achievements in winning this award. And he said, this year, I'm not going to stand up here, make long speeches. I'm going to stick to the script. No 8-minute speech like last year. And people laughed. Ha ha ha. And then he goes on to saying, but fun fact, my speech was actually longer than this year's Call of Duty campaign. And as soon as he said that, like the whole entire crowd just like audibly like just goes, ooh. So how did you feel about that?
I mean, when I heard that, there was so many emotions going through me. I mean, my first reaction, I laughed out loud.
Same.
Because it was very funny. And I love Christopher Judge. He's amazing. all of his work that he does. I love him, and what he did, it made me love him even more for that.
Mm-hmm.
But then also thinking about it, I was just like, ooh, that was
Yeah,
maybe not the right thing to say, but at the
totally.
same time, everyone jabs at everyone, but
Right.
some people may find it, as a malintention or malicious, um, you know, way of it, but it is what it is at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. I kind of agree with you that it probably wasn't the best like place to announce something like that. Like it's funny to make the joke, right? Like to be like, oh, like, it's longer than whatever the campaign. Fine. But he goes on and says, that's one company I would never work for. Like I feel like you're burning a bridge at that point,
Yes.
And it's I mean, it's definitely awkward. I don't know if it was a very professional thing for you to do, but like he's also like not wrong. Like there is no campaign in Call of Duty. Like
Yeah.
and year after year it gets shorter and shorter.
Yes. I mean, not many people play Call of Duty for the campaign.
It's true.
So it's a multiplayer game through and
Mm-hmm.
through. You never hear anyone talking about, oh, I got Call of Duty campaign or Call of Duty. Let's play it for the campaign.
Right.
So
Absolutely true. Did you get to hear about like the Call of Duty devs reacting to his comment yet?
I saw somewhere about the devs like tweeting from his reaction, but I don't quite remember what they were saying.
Okay. Yeah. So like one of the comments that was made was one of the devs said, like Call of Duty, beats all of the God of War games in in sales, and it's probably very laughable because, our game does better, right? Which is kind of like interesting for them to say because like even though it is a better selling game, it doesn't really make it a better game as a whole.
True.
I feel like there is way more substance and so much more depth in God of War than Call of Duty.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, kind of interesting on how they kind of reacted to all of that.
Yeah. It was definitely a interesting way to start off the awards.
Yes. Yeah, definitely was. We also had some feelings about the Starfield ad that kind of came out during the during the Game Awards, and it's, oh my God, like I'll describe it a little bit. So the ad goes on and shows like a few scenes of Starfield and like how picturesque it is, and it gives like some sort of quote saying like it's a masterpiece by like Vice, or like a cinematic masterwork from Esquire, and then some more quotes about how it being a super great game, and then shows more and more scenes of the game, and then like there's one part of the ad that's like showcasing like tons of 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, ratings from different articles and different, places. On a scale of 1 to awkward, how cringe was this ad?
I would say it's the Homer Simpson meme where he disappears into the bush.
Oh my God, right? I can't believe that I was watching this like as an ad for the Game Awards. Like I think Starfield only got like one nomination or something like that. And they didn't even win. They didn't win anything. So
not
it's
at
like
all.
It's just so awkward to have like I feel like they were very out of touch like when they were placing this ad for the Game Awards, because like one, you aren't necessarily winning any, like you aren't nominated for a lot of categories, and two, like you're not winning.
Yeah.
like from all of like your Metacritic scores, like no, it's not a masterpiece, right?
Yeah, and like I know you have more experience with Starfield than I do because I haven't played the game, and I know you have, so you know a lot more of it than I do.
I feel like Starfield was not a bad game, but I wouldn't call it a masterpiece or a masterwork or give it a 10 out of 10. You know, like it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine, you know, but it's not that great. It's really not that great. But you know, we should move forward. Let's not talk about like, you know, specific events that happened at the Game Awards. Let's move on to like game trailers, you know, because you know the Game Awards showcase so many game trailers. You know, when you're watching, were any game trailers that looked interesting to you?
Honestly, I would have to say that this year there wasn't very many that I saw that really drew me in and made me think, wow, I would really like to play this game. But I mean, there was a couple when I saw it. I mean, okay, yeah, that looks interesting. Like, I'll keep my eye on it and whatnot. And one of them being Exodus. I believe that was the first one that they showed.
I already forgot the name of the guy that announced it. We talked about it before this podcast, and I totally forgot what his name is again. He was in Interstellar. He was
and he was like, oh, they expect me to come out with my, what was it?
All right. Yeah,
I was gonna say, hey.
What's his name?
Is it Matthew McConaughey?
Yes. Yes. I can't believe that I forgot about it again.
I was gonna say, is it the guy from The Hangover? Or is that
different guy? Same guy? I don't know.
No, that's Bradley Cooper, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Different people. Yes. For sure. Okay.
But yes, that's Exodus, because he was going on saying that that's the first ever video game that he's ever been part of and whatnot. And it you know, it's dealing with space and time dilation and whatnot. And they did show a little bit of gameplay towards the end. Seemed a little bit of Mass Effect vibes and whatnot. I also kind of got a little bit of Returnal vibes as well.
I can see that. Yeah.
But I'll definitely keep my eye on it and see, you know, what they have to come in the years. Because I think it said it was 2025.
Yeah, it's got some time.
Yeah. And then the Final Fantasy 16 DLC trailers.
Totally.
Those definitely look fun because I finished the game and I know you're currently working on it. So
it was funny because when that trailer was announced, I didn't get to that part where like the other character was in the picture just yet. Like I knew that he existed. I just didn't know that they were going to be traveling together. And I was like, that's a spoiler. But I mean, like the game's been out for a minute now, so it like makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm excited for that too.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, and the only other one really, I mean, he never does anything off the bat but the OD trailer.
Yeah.
So
that was really interesting.
Yeah. Kind of like the PT trailer back in the day on PlayStation.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested to see like how this all kind of like plays out because it definitely seems like a horror in a way.
It could be, yep.
Because like, you know, during that trailer, like it's a girl that's reciting like a same series of phrases. And then like the first time she says it, she sounds normal. The second time she says it, there's definitely some like apprehension, you know, and anxiousness in her voice. And the way that she looks, you can tell that like something's definitely off. Yeah. So it'd be really cool to see like how that all like pans out.
Yeah.
And when you're watching, sorry, I kind of forgot. You were saying that like when you were doing some research about, you know, this topic, OD meant something.
It meant, because I saw it was on the IGN page because I was looking at the list of like all of the nominees and whatnot, and it had trailers on there, and it had OD, and apparently it stands for overdose.
Right.
So maybe it's like a psychological horror game dealing with maybe like opioid addiction, right. And
maybe.
going through like withdrawals or something.
Yeah. Um, and also during the Game Awards, Kojima kind of alluded to that like it's going to be more of like a movie than it is going to be like a game. And that's when he kind of like also introduced like Jordan Peele, who's like, he's really popular in doing, horror movies right now. So I kind of feel like it's going to be a horror game to a certain extent, but like,
yeah,
at what level, right? Like PT level horror game?
I don't know. I mean, that was the thing, back when it was out on PlayStation 4.
Right.
So we'll just have to see,
Because he never got to finish PT. Like that was just the demo.
Yeah.
Do you know if he owns like the IP for PT and like the story of it at all? Do you know? Or is that owned by like whoever he was working with?
Because he was working on it with someone.
Yeah, Sony maybe? So I don't remember who.
I don't quite remember, but I know it was him and someone else who were working on the game, and then it didn't end up working out.
Fizzling out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that'll be really interesting. I can't wait to see like what he has to offer and bring to the table with OD, because it's like by the trailer itself, it's already like, ooh, what is this all about? Especially because like the doors opening and like doors that were like opening in PT, like we had to go through the door. You never knew what was on the other side, but it'd be cool to see if he kind of like draws from that, because that yeah, I don't play a lot of horror games, but like that demo was just like the scariest thing I think I've ever played.
It was.
All right, I will go next in terms of game trailers if you don't have anything else that's on your list.
Yeah, no, that was it.
I'm really excited for a new Monster Hunter. I feel like Monster Hunter is always a great game for for people to play. A lot of people on our in Super OK talk about how they really enjoyed Rise. So it'd be really fun to get a whole bunch of people playing Monster Hunter and hunting monsters together in a different world, different monsters or the same monsters. Who knows? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be very cool. I'm looking forward to that. I probably should. I kind of want to replay. Remake first before I get into the new Final Fantasy VII. But that's like a whole endeavor. I don't know if I really want to go through all of that. I'm
definitely going to do that.
You're definitely going to do it?
Yeah, I don't really remember the game all that much. And I have a feeling that it's going to be semi-similar, like gameplay wise, like mechanics and whatnot, to the first one. And just by replaying the first one, I will, refamiliarize myself with all of those mechanics and whatnot. And then that way, by finishing that one, then going into the second one, I'll have a better understanding, if the mechanics are somewhat similar.
Yeah. I would be interested to see if they like take parts of like Final Fantasy 16 and like their combat style and put that into Final Fantasy 7.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Because I mean, like if you think about it, like the first remake of Final Fantasy 7 kind of like is borderline like an action game, not so much like an RPG game. So I wonder if they're going to be like just doing a whole flip on it, right?
Yeah,
maybe.
True.
Who knows? Guess we're gonna have to find out. That's why it looks interesting, right? The other item that I have on here is Dave the Diver and Dredge, like that crossover. I loved Dave the Diver. It was such a fun game to play. I loved the fact that you would, hunt for fish during the day and then have a sushi restaurant at night. Dredge was just a very interesting, like, fishing game. And then having a crossover of the two would be so crazy to me because Dave the Diver is like very lighthearted. It's very like fun. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild in a sense of like there's these cutscenes that are just like anime style and very goofy, and Dredge has like more serious tone to it because it's more of like a Lovecraft type of story, so it has a
Oh,
little bit of
okay.
horror aspects to it. So it's just going to be like a very interesting game to have both in the same world.
Yeah, that is interesting. I know I've had Dredge on my wish list for a while now. I plan on playing it sometime. I don't know when. But yeah, when I saw that crossover, I was like, "Ooh, well, I might just have to add Dave the Diver on my list as well now."
For sure. Oh my god, Dave the Diver is so good. It is so much fun. I love Dave the Diver. Great game. Oh, and then for my other game trailer that I really am looking forward to is Jet Set Radio Remake. I love the original Jet Set Radio. I thought it was, very, very fun. So having a remake of it is going to be very cool.
Yeah.
There are other game trailers I feel like I really I was interested in during the Game Awards, but I feel like none of them like really stood out for me.
Yeah.
Where like I can vividly remember them. I think we talked about like one game trailer where it was like, and I can't remember the name of it now, where it was these people are like in this warehouse and they like something was trying to break in, and then like this little girl was like crying with her mom, and her mom like had half of a face where it's like one's realistic and one was like a robot or whatever, and then she was saying something about like how the demon is here or whatever, like don't worry, the demon's here. Like that seemed kind of cool, kind of weird.
You had me very confused for a second because I was just like, I do not remember that at all. But yes, it.
And now you remember.
Yes, it finally clicked. Yes, I do remember that whole trailer, but I don't recall the name of the game or anything. Yeah.
It'll probably come to me at some point, but something. Yeah. That's another game trailer that I felt like looked interesting. It's a very weird concept that I'd like to explore a little bit more. But yeah, we should really talk about, because we're talking about the Game Awards, we should probably talk about like some of the awards and like who won and things like that. So what are some of the games that won or got nominated that you haven't played or wanted to play yet?
So I haven't played Alan Wake 2. Well, actually, I haven't even played the first Alan Wake. So I have it, I believe, on PlayStation because it was free. It was, I think, the remastered one. Yep. Mm-hmm. So just it's on my ever expanding backlog of games to play. So the Alan Wake 1 and 2, I have to do those, and then I haven't played Resident Evil 4 yet either.
I'm surprised.
I know,
because you're kind of like a horror guy, so I feel like this is like very much up your alley.
I know,
like both of those games, like Alan Wake 2 has like a little bit of horror aspects to it as well. So
I know, I surprisingly haven't been playing a lot of horror games. I know.
Is it because you've been playing too much Coral Island?
I don't know what you're talking about now. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I have been playing a lot of that and some Final Fantasy 14, but we're not going to get off topic on those.
True.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to get back into playing some more horror games because I do absolutely love them, and I do just need to set aside the games that are unbeatable, and I just need to focus on games on my backlog where I can clear them out.
This is me.
I know.
This is why we're like practically soulmates, because we do the exact same thing.
I know. I start a game and I play it for a little bit, and then something else comes out and I'm like, ooh, shiny. I need to play this. Yes. Squirrel. And I start playing that, and that other game that I played an hour of just gets lost in the void. And I play something else, and then Steam just loves to have a million different sales, and I'm like, buy,
So true.
buy. And I buy all these games, and my library just continues to grow and grow. And I haven't played about 90% of my games. So
Yep, I definitely feel that. Josh has started playing the first Alan Wake just because he wants to play Alan Wake 2.
Mhm.
And he said that like it's a relatively shorter game because it's like broken out into episodes, and there's like
Oh.
6 episodes. So, I mean, you could play like one episode, every day until you finish the game, which is
Okay.
I think he said like 20 hours, 15 hours, something like that. It's not very long.
It's
It's
not
very
bad.
doable. So maybe something to consider. If you ever want to finish a game, that might be a quick one for you to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2 is definitely on like my list of games that I would like to play, but like again, I have to get over one, I have to get over the fact that it could be potentially a scary game. And two, I have to play one before I play two. Even
Yeah.
though like one of like mine and Lyle's friends said that he played Alan Wake 2. He said it was like one of the best games he's ever played. But you also don't need to play Alan Wake 1 in order for you to enjoy Alan Wake 2. And I'm like, I still want to play Alan Wake 1.
Exactly.
Another game that's on my list of games I want to play is Cocoon. Me and you, Lyle, have watched one of our friends play Cocoon.
Yes.
And I still don't know what the fuck was happening in that game.
No, it was like an acid trip.
Yes, it very much was. Like it felt like a legit acid trip where everything felt psychedelic. Like there was like lots of different colors. At one point you're a bug, and next point you're like a flower bug thing with a thing around your head.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it looked very cool, and our friend said that it was a very fun game. It also won best indie game.
Yeah, was it the best debut indie?
Best debut game. Yes, because I think best independent game was Sea of Stars.
Yeah, the best debut indie game was Cocoon.
Yes,
they won.
So yeah, because they are a winner, I would love to see what it has to offer and actually understand what is being shown on screen rather than watching my friend play the game.
Exactly.
Another game that also won a category, I believe it's Hi-Fi Rush. They won best audio design. I feel like it would be a very cool game to play. I love the art style of it. It's very like it's almost like cel shaded, like comic book style for me, and that looks really cool. It's been on my list of games I want to play but just haven't played yet. Additionally, most of the games for like within the category of games for impact, which is the category for a thought provoking game with a pro social meaning or message. I feel like all of them in there were really interesting. And I would love to explore more in that specific category in general and the games that are presented there. Like Terra Nil, like that seems like a game that's very much up my alley. There was another game that was in Best Debut Indie Game and called Viewfinder, which I had to look it up because I was like really interested when it was like kind of like showing on the Game Awards. And as they were like showing the clip of it, essentially you find a photo, right?
Oh.
And that's like your clue. And then you're running around this world and you're trying to match up like the picture to the scene. And that's how you beat that puzzle. And I was like, oh, that's a very interesting, type of game. I feel like I would really enjoy. It seemed kind of casual for the most part. Nothing crazy jumps out at you, and just a good, point and click type of game.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's a game that I just like. I feel like it'd be fun to play.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Moving on to our next question that we have here. Were there anything that shocked you, good or bad, about any of the games that won or nominated games?
There was one specific thing that shocked me. That Destiny 2 was nominated for Best Community Support.
Yeah.
Why is my question.
Great question. I mean, Bungie's been under a lot of fire in general, like the past few months now, where like they really haven't produced anything for their community.
No, definitely not.
And now, because they have, laid off like a whole bunch of people from their studio, like they've delayed the next season of Destiny. And to also preface this conversation, Lyle is a big Destiny gamer. Well, used to be a big Destiny gamer.
I used to be, yes.
My husband's a huge Destiny gamer, as well as like some of our friends. So we have a lot of feelings about Destiny too.
Yes. Well, I mean, the current season now, the season of the Wish, it's been extended because they ended up delaying Final Shape expansion to June now, because it was originally supposed to come out in February. So the current season was only supposed to run until February, but now it's running for what, like seven months now, which is a very, very long stretch.
Yeah.
So, and seasons in that game have just been honestly terrible, because they put like one activity in, basically, sometimes two. They haven't even really been great activities, and that's it. You got to do the same thing over and over, farm for whatever you want, and it's very boring. I mean, yeah. I fell off the bandwagon a very long time ago, but yeah, they have not really supported the community, in my opinion, for a very long time.
It's true. Yeah, and I always hear like Josh and Aaron and our friend Cheese just complain every single time that they come out with like their TWAB. It's not really called TWAB. It's like This Week at Bungie or whatever.
The TWAB.
Yeah. It's they always complain about something. It's always there's always something that's just like, why would they do that? And then they like, the release comes out and they're like, oh, did you know that this thing's broken? And now Bungie decided that instead of fixing it, they're going to just like get rid of it, or like they're going to change something because like they can't fix it fast enough or something like that.
Yep.
And I always hear them complaining about that stuff, and I'm like, this is a game that you are dedicating time to and that you are dedicating money to. Like, if you are unhappy with it, like, you should just stop playing. Like,
exactly.
But they can't. So
no, I know. Yeah, because I mean, every expansion it comes like a bunch of new exotics, and every new season comes like one, maybe like one or two new exotics for each class and whatnot. And it always seems like one of the exotics for the class ends up being completely broken. Yeah. And either in PvP or PvE, and like someone finds it and it breaks the game, and they don't know how to fix it right away, so they just disable it. And it's so disabled for weeks or a month or two, and then they fix it. Like they don't know how to fix things right away, so their solution is, we'll just disable it until we can fix it.
Right. Which is not like necessarily a bad thing, but like sometimes I feel like it's almost like too long where they just like don't fix it at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a really weird nomination. Oh, who else was in that category? I know that Baldur's Gate won that category, if I'm not mistaken, for best community support. Cyberpunk's on there, Destiny, Final Fantasy 16, which is interesting.
Is it 16 or is it 14? I think it's 14.
I see. IGN fucked it up. It's 14.
Oh. Yeah. IGN definitely messed that up, because I don't think there's any really community support for 16.
That's why I was like reading it. I was like, that's wrong. And then No Man's Sky is the next community support. But like, I feel like something's like something's missing out of this. Like is Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, right, for community support? Like, I guess that makes sense because they have made so many updates.
Yeah, they've worked on the game. They made so many updates and whatnot. So I could see that.
Yeah, but okay, so and also Cyberpunk won best ongoing game, which is like also like weird to me, like
Yes.
almost shocking in a way, because like I can see them being a part of like best community support, right? Because they have like fixed things in their game to like make it better. But ongoing game seems
Yeah,
weird.
I don't think it really fits that category.
It's not like it's a game as a service type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where like Destiny is, Final Fantasy 14 is. Um just weird. Just weird.
Yeah.
For best community support, I'm surprised that Diablo 4 is not on here, because they've been doing like
True.
a lot in terms of like being transparent and responsive to people who are like, having feelings about their game. Like, even though I don't like Activision and Blizzard, like that's a whole separate thing. Like, I feel like Diablo 4 is at least trying to become more transparent.
They
And
are.
I think that they're more transparent than Destiny is, to be honest.
Yes.
With game patches and updates, like it's a weird. That's a weird category for me.
I hear you.
The other thing that was like really shocking for me was Zelda only getting best action game and adventure game. Like, that's the only thing that they won.
Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting. Like, sure, good contender for a game of the year, but like, I don't know. It just seems wrong that Zelda has only won one particular category this year, for it being like a fucking like crispy game.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you there. It definitely shocked me that it didn't win more. I mean, I haven't played it. I mean, I played the first one. I played Breath of the Wild, and it was a very good game. And then, I mean, I was excited for the Tears of the Kingdom, even before we knew like the name of it, them saying that we're making a second one. I was excited for it and whatnot. And then when they started revealing the game more and this and that, and I don't know, just something about the game, it felt off-putting to me. And
Really?
yeah, I lost interest in it. I don't know why.
Okay.
But just something about it. I don't know why. And I don't know. I just can't explain it. It just
people are going to fight you for your opinion.
I know. People are going to be very angry with me. But yeah, I don't know what about it. It just, yeah.
I will say that like from an outside perspective, Tears of the Kingdom does feel very much like Breath of the Wild. If you don't play the game, like it just looks identical to a certain degree. But like when you actually start playing Tears of the Kingdom, there's so much like it is like Breath of the Wild but better. Like, they've added more mechanics into this game, which makes it more interesting and more fun, and like your playthroughs and the way that you approach certain puzzles can be completely different from one game to the next.
Yeah.
Kind of like Baldur's Gate in a way, like
True.
Baldur's Gate, you can approach certain situations completely differently, will have different outcomes, but it's just surprising that like it didn't win more categories.
Yeah.
What's also interesting is how many freaking categories Alan Wake 2 won. I was really surprised at, that it won best game direction, best narrative. It won best art direction, which I thought was a very like just crazy to me. I didn't think that it was going to be that. I didn't think Alan Wake 2 was going to be that great of a game, but maybe that's just me being like an ignorant gamer,
Yeah. I mean, that's with it, winning more awards than what I expected. It just makes me want to, play it all that more and, and see why it won all of these, awards. And then I could be like, okay, I understand why it won.
Yeah.
Like, congratulations. But as of right now, my viewpoint is, why did it win all these awards?
Same. So I'm really looking forward to like trying it out and seeing what's going to be on the, what's available for us to experience it within Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
Sorry. Last question I have for you is that are there any games that you wish that got nominated for any of these categories?
Now, when I saw this question, I struggled with it a little bit, just because there are so many games that were nominated, and I wouldn't say I played a lot of them, but mainly the games, some of them that I did play, they were there. But one game that when it came out, I was just like, oh, this is definitely going to be like at the Game Awards, because like it's so good. Everyone who has been waiting for this game, is just it's their favorite game, this and that.
Mhm.
And I was surprised Hogwarts Legacy didn't get nominated for anything. But at the same time, I can also see why it didn't, because with the Game Award, I can see the Game Awards, they look for games that, what games introduce, new things and like new innovative ways of how games, feel and look, and, how people play it. And Hogwarts Legacy technically didn't really do any of that. It was just, I would say, just a basic kind of RPG,
Sure.
Harry Potter game, which in a sense is completely fine, because I mean, I absolutely love the game. It was great, but I can see why it didn't get there.
I can see that too. I know a lot of people loved Hogwarts Legacy because it was like Harry Potter. And I feel like it turned a lot of people who aren't gamers that were into Harry Potter into a gamer.
Yeah.
Or at least be interested in like playing a video game because of it. I played Hogwarts Legacy as well. And I'm going to tell you something. I didn't finish the game. I think I told you this. I told you that like as soon as I got out of Hogwarts and started like exploring the villages and like the towns around it, I was like, it was like, okay, cool. Like that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just didn't grasp me. Like it just felt like, again, like any type of RPG,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you were like a really, like if you loved Harry Potter and you loved like everything about it, like this game is definitely for you. And don't get me wrong, I loved Harry Potter, but I only loved Harry Potter like if I were to go to school at Hogwarts. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Yeah. Everything else can just. It's fine.
Yeah. I know. And see, like, I mean, I loved being in the castle. It was great to, finally being able to have, an open castle and whatnot. But it was also nice to see what was outside it as well.
Sure.
Because in all of the movies, you just saw the castle. I mean, yeah, you saw a little bit outside, and, in the last 2 movies, you saw more of like the outside world, but not as much.
Yeah. I also feel like because it's so closely tied to like J.K. Rowling's, whatever her name is, that like it's just one of those games where it's like,
I know.
It could go without,
Yeah, that's one of the problems.
Because she really sucks.
Yeah. Well, there is one of the theories. There is a portrait in the castle of a burning witch, and people say it looks a lot like her.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, like Hogwarts Legacy did do a lot of like putting in very specific characters into the game that definitely goes against, J.K. Rowling's like, viewpoints. So I think they tried to like make that balance, but I still, because J.K. Rowling's is still getting paid, because of the royalties and stuff like that, I feel like it's probably better that they didn't have it in there, because I feel like if they did have it as like a nomination, people would be like all up in arms about it.
Yeah, probably.
The whole thing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Just avoid it. Don't have it.
Yeah. Just easier not to.
Yeah. But to be honest, like I was looking back at my the lists of games I have completed in 2023, and it is abysmal. Like I even posted about it because it's just so terrible. I don't think that I have a leg to stand on when it comes to any games I wish got nominated, because most of the games that I played were, they were on a list or they were, nominated for a category. Again, I'm a patient gamer, so I don't necessarily go out and just like play lots of games in general. So we'll move on. Let's talk about, because you and I watch so many TikToks and Instagram reels. We saw some pretty good ones post event. So let's talk about the ones that we've seen. And I'll have you go first because this is probably one of my favorite ones.
Oh man. All right. Well, I just have one question for you.
Yes.
Do you know what Baldur's Gate 3 is? Because
I've never heard of that game.
I've never heard of that game before. Does anyone even play that game? Like, why did it win Game of the Year?
Oh my God. Why didn't Spider-Man win Game of the Year?
Spider-Man should have won Game of the Year 100%. It's like the best game ever.
Oh my God. That video meme was just wild.
Oh, geez. It's all over.
Can't believe it. It's just one of those things where it's like how out of touch do you have to be to not realize that there's other like great contenders out there? Like Spider-Man 2 is a great game. Do not get me wrong. Like Spider-Man 2, like I know people, like I've seen people play it. It looks fantastic. The storyline's really great. But like you have Baldur's Gate 3 and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom all out in the same year, where people have like big gaming articles, gaming outlets have called those two games a masterpiece. Like, how can you, one, compare Spider-Man to those two games, and two, not know what Baldur's Gate 3 is?
Exactly. And I mean, personally, for someone who is currently playing Spider-Man 2, I haven't finished it yet. It's very similar to the first one. I mean, the combat style is pretty much just like the first one. It's just the, smashing of the square button to fight and dodge and all that. It really, anything that's different about the combat system is you don't have as many gadgets from the first one. Yeah, because I remember seeing somewhere where they wanted it to be more more melee focused rather than gadget, because the gadgets in Spider-Man 1 were like really overpowered, and I guess people were just using them constantly. So, and they didn't want that with the second one, which I can understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so far from what I played, I'm playing the first one just with Spider-Man and Miles, and it's a new story doing new things. So, but don't get me wrong. I mean, it's great so far, but it's definitely not Game of the Year contender. I'm sorry, but
yeah. That was a weird hot take from somebody.
Oh yeah. Oh, they were
livid. They were livid.
So many TikToks I saw, people who wanted Spider-Man 2 to be Game of the Year, and they were yelling so loud that their noise gates were cutting off on their mics, and they literally jumped out of their chair, and their chair just flew back, and they were screaming. Like, wow, calm down, bro.
That's too much.
No.
Yeah. I would love to talk about seeing the life of P guy in real life, Timothée Chalamet. I've seen some like really good image memes of that being like, oh look, it's the guy from Life of P on stage. There's also this Todd Howard meme where it's like, imagine being Todd Howard and having your game not win anything. And it's just like videos of him like making like really like, he's like trying to smile, but he can't smile because like there's nothing for him to be excited about.
Yep.
That was great. And the the please wrap it up. Gotta wrap it up.
Yep.
We're also getting towards the end of our show, so we probably should wrap it up. But
I know.
During the Game Awards, like when it was, people are doing their acceptance speeches and things like that, they actually had a big video screen that said, please wrap it up, telling people to, stop talking and so they can get off the stage.
So rude.
I know, which is probably something we should do. I feel like the please wrap it up sign is blinking on our end right now. So let's move on to our silliest question. Lyle and I actually got to be asked to be part of the Game Awards host committee this year. So this is sponsored by the Game Awards. Just kidding, it's really not. But we get to pick a brand new award category and figure out which famous person is going to be the announcer.
Yeah.
So Lyle, what's your game category? Your award category? I shouldn't even call it a game category. What is your award category for the 2024 Game Awards?
So, my new game category is most memed on game.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, as we know, there are games out there who don't do very well, or there are some games out there that do very well and get memed on anyway.
Sure.
So it's, a 50-50. So, but I think it would be a really funny category if they did most memed on game. Mm-hmm. And I think the person to do the award would be Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3. He's a very sassy and sarcastic and give it to you right as it is kind of guy, and he'd be great for it.
I think that'd be really interesting to see. Yes. I'd watch that. That's a good category.
Yes.
I picked the most realistic food award, where like you get to look at all the foods from all these different video games, and you get to vote, or people get to pick which video game has the most realistic food, the most appetizing, the most delicious looking food. I feel like that would be very fun to watch, just like, as part of the Game Awards, you just look at like fried chicken and then like mashed potatoes like on the screen, and it has like the like I call it like the anime lens, where it has like the pretty pink and yellow background and like the little stars around it.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that would be really cool. And I think it would be even better if Colonel Sanders was the guy that was, announcing this award. I think that'd be great. It would just be him up there holding a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken and like the little awards like inside of it.
Now I have a question.
Yes.
Would you be able to try and date Colonel Sanders?
Interesting. I'm pretty sure that I already have tried it.
Oh, really now?
Yeah. I love you, Colonel Sanders. It's a great dating game. All right. It is time that we do, in fact, wrap it up here. But hey, do you know that guy, Dan?
I have, in fact, heard of this Dan person.
You know what type of award I'd give him?
What kind of award would you give him?
I give him the big "Fuck You, Dan" award.
Oh, that's a good one. He would definitely win that award.
He would definitely win that award. 10
yes,
out of 10.
Hands down.
Well, thank you all for reaching towards the end of our podcast episode. Please join us in the Discord. Tell us what you think. If you have any thoughts on the Game Awards, we would love to hear them. Additionally, Lyle, where can the people find you?
Yes, I am in the Discord as She's McQueen.
She's McQueen.
Yes. So if you would like to chat with me about any of the games that we talked about here, or if you have any great book recommendations, I will gladly take them. I love books and reading, as you have heard. So if you have any great recommendations, just send them my way. I will greatly appreciate them. And yeah, I mean, I don't really use anything else. So yeah, She's McQueen in the Discord.
She's my queen. And I am Mel. You can find me on the Discord and on Blue Sky as Melephant. Well, thank you everybody again for listening. We appreciate you being here. Yeah, that's it. We're wrapping it up here. So say goodbye, Lyle.
Bye.
Bye. See everybody. Bye. Honk.